Okay, thank you, Suzanne, for connecting us to the world. The Open Space Commission, Amanda Blair, co-chair, and I would like to call the meeting to order at 5:11. And first on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. If I can have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Claudio. Okay. And any discussion on the minutes? I do note that we need to change the date, Suzanne, on the... Okay. Okay, all in favor of passing them?
Aye.
Okay, and approval of the minutes for May 2nd, 2022. If I can have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, a second.
I didn't attend. Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, land steward report. I received it via email, but our land steward is here. So if you would like to give us
Sure.
an update.
Well, as of the end of April, all the trails were open. Even Bartholomew, I added a few more 2-inch by 10-foot oak planks to get across the first bridge. But I actually went to Bartholomew today, and the water is up to Buttonball Road.
Yeah.
The culvert is just blocked. There's no water going from east to west. So, and I noticed that last fall that leaves had plugged up the beaver deceiver.
Do you think it's leaves? You don't think
Well,
it's a beaver activity? That's why I was trying to...
I can't say for sure, but that's the last time I saw it.
Okay.
The leaves were piling up there, and I couldn't make it across the first bridge today.
And Vicki, the town clerk, told me that too. And I did talk to Wayne. And do you have Wayne's phone number? Abrahamson? No. I'll give you, he was going to go check it out. I'm afraid that if it crosses onto the road, Ed in Public Works comes, and if he cleans it out, he may rip our beaver. So if you want to give Wayne a call tomorrow, he was going to go, and I think it'd be helpful to have 2 people to do that.
Okay.
And if you can't go to Marcus, you can set up a time. But he was going to look into that. And see what they could do.
Was it last spring, water did cross the road.
Right, and Ed broke it up, and then we put the beaver deceiver in.
Yeah.
But it's not a true beaver deceiver with the pipe going out. It's more or less like a fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why if someone goes to do that, they'll take the fence out. So.
But it's almost up to the road, parallel, level with the road, so I'm sure it's deep there.
Well, let me know what you and Wayne, because I want to alert Ed. He won't rip it out. And then we may have to call Mike Callahan to say this is not working. So I don't know. Okay, but thank you.
Yeah, and then the bridges, I guess, is there a design in the works?
Evan is working on that, so he's working with the Girl Scout and her dad. So maybe you can send Evan an email. He'll be back next week.
Okay.
And see, but until we get the water level under control.
Because I don't know, I haven't really walked the length of the creek there, so if there's a more narrower spot that you could put a bridge across, but it didn't look like it to me. Just a reroute of the...
When we were there last summer with Mike Callahan from Beaver Deceiver, and he went and he said there's a beaver dam up farther, and it's just so much wetland on that property, you really can't access it. So we may have to rethink that whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because if the beaver deceiver can't control the water and the water keeps rising, why is it not a true beaver deceiver? Why wouldn't it? Mike Callahan made that decision. He didn't feel it was necessary. And he put it in, but
Right.
so I think he should be included in the conversation, but I'd like to get Wayne over there and Peter
And I didn't see any trees or sticks, that you normally see for a beaver den.
Yeah, that's why I wondered if it was a beaver, if it was just leaves.
I think it's,
Yeah.
what I remember last fall, it's just leaves.
Well, and Mike said we might need to clear it out, but, I mean.
I could borrow my wife's fly fishing.
You'd have to, at this point, you'd have to. But I was also thinking if you had a long pole or something, if you could go from the other end. But it would have to be a very long pole because the width of the road's 40 or 50. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Wayne had some type of equipment that he could, like I was thinking.
Like a rotor?
I have those big metal rakes, the big wide one.
Yeah.
So if you were there with your waders and were able to find the fence and see if it's something blocking, you could pull it up.
Well, the fence is probably 10 feet out from the road. So it's...
Is the fence that far out? I didn't think it was that far, but okay. That's what I'm trying to...
in a concave type shape, a semicircle. And, well, once you got down off the road on the bank, you probably could reach it with a long pole. But, it's worth a try.
Wayne and Jimmy have equipment. That's what I was thinking. And if we know where it is and can flag where the fence is, then maybe they can. But whatever, it doesn't seem to be working. So a phone call, I'll call Mike.
Okay.
Maybe he's in the area too and can see.
Okay.
I know Evan felt that it was just because it rained a lot, there was a lot of water, but I don't know about that theory. So it doesn't seem to be going down either.
No, I mean, I checked the west side of the culvert, and there's no water flow.
Oh, okay, so it's
just
definitely blocked.
It's just a pond.
Yeah.
Continuous pond, so.
Okay. Next plans. Okay, we'll work on Bartholomew. And how about the rest of them?
The rest of them are fine. As of last month, I did cut down 2 down trees in Champlain North today, but that's clear. So I'll do the other 2 large ones before the end of the month.
Okay, and
there's always something out there.
At least the 2 that I cut down and I left on the trail.
Champlain North.
Champlain.
I didn't see that, but a lot of those, you call them widowmakers, I've never heard of anybody getting hit, and much less die from a tree falling on.
You didn't hear that.
In any case, I think it's more dangerous to us to try to cut something like that.
I think in the past we've rerouted the trail a little.
Right, and I've done that.
We're successful. It's been a minor bump in the trail.
There are 2 on, there's one on Ames that's split across. Actually, there's 2 big ones on Ames in the green, but it's too high up. It's more dangerous for someone to try to do that, unless you want to get Wilcox in, but then you're going to spend an arm and a leg.
Well, whatever tree company we get in, but it would be very expensive. And if it is a threat, then I think.
But these other 2 I can get.
Yeah, we can just adjust the trail.
The 2 I'm talking about were the ones that were leaning on the trail, and so I cut it with a handsaw, and they fall, and I cut the secondary branches so people can go over. But
it was all clear.
Thank you.
Today. So.
Can we use? I see that you use a chainsaw. Is that?
He has a liability policy.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the only one that's allowed to use a chainsaw.
Sure.
And Jimmy and Wayne, because they have liability policies. because the town will not let us.
Yeah.
Do you find, just out of curiosity, do you find the maps going faster, slower, or anything with that? Just curious, we put that QR code on, just,
I haven't really noticed. I did check McCullough.
yeah.
They filled it,
I
and it looks like the 40 that I put in there are still there.
Okay. And you
So-
checked Flat Rock, too? Did you-
Oh, I haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, if you could check Flat Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
On Champlain North, there are standpipes, look like they're leftovers from
They are.
subdivision. Could I cut those?
Well,
Want to leave them?
I'd rather, I know they are, but Evan and I have had this discussion. I'd rather, if you wouldn't mind, bring it to the June.
Okay.
The only reason we left them in, because it's a reminder to people that if open space didn't have this.
Yeah.
And
I'm leading a walk towards, whenever Connecticut Trails Day is, and I got to go buy 2 or 3 of them. And
who are you leading a walk for?
it's just Connecticut Trails Day, so it must
Oh, I
be
know.
the
Yeah.
Land Trust, right?
No, it wouldn't be the land.
It's not on, it's on, I think it's on our property before I get to
Is it Boggy?
Boggy Hole, because I'm walking to Boggy Hole, but I've got to go through Champlain North to get,
Okay, because I talked to,
there's one tall 4-foot.
well, you know what we should do is an ID and tell people what these
What
are.
it was,
Right.
yeah, for one of them, but there's like multiple ones.
Well, I know, but we could pick out a few and say this was to be a 220 lot subdivision.
Was it? That,
I can't, I have the information. There's a lot of lots.
that was wishful thinking,
And it
too much ledge.
Oh, well. Well, they always start there. But there were a lot of entities that came in, the state, the Nature Conservancy, Trust for Public Land, and it was, yeah, so it was,
They're actually ventilation ducts. So
There's something below, bunkers below.
there's bunkers, they're breeding bees.
East Russia.
We were
Besides the
going
llamas.
into the land trust and jointly sponsor that, but I never heard back from the land trust. But that's all right, you know.
Yeah, Denise and I are doing something at 9 o'clock in the morning, so.
We are, take it out of, while we're on the trails, we are doing a hiker's happy hour the first Wednesday, and it will be on Champlain South on the White Trail.
In June?
June, I think it's actually June
Yeah.
1st. So I was wondering if you would be willing to lead that trail walk, and
Yeah, if I'm here, I haven't,
can you
I'm
check?
sort of going back and forth to Greenwich, depends on it's Wednesday, right? I'll probably be here.
Okay, yeah, if you could see, if you could do that, and I would love to walk it with you before, and maybe Evan, and if you want, just to kind of familiarize.
I've been there once, actually.
Evan's very
It
knowledgeable.
was another happy hour hike, I think.
We didn't do we haven't done Champlain South yet. That's why we're trying to mix it up a little.
Somebody was there. I was there. I went with a group of folks. Maybe it was something else. We did sort of a loop.
Well, we've done walks on it before, but,
Because it has to be 45 minutes to get to the old line in quickly.
right, and I think on the White Trail, isn't that where you can see the wagon wheels in the rocks there? On the ground?
That's what Evan has said. I've never,
Yeah, so because Evan has a lot of history, I thought,
Yeah.
we the bird, if we could kind of, entertain people and then whine them afterwards.
I'll probably, if I'm in town, I'll be here and I'll do
Okay,
it.
well, if you could put it on your calendar.
June
just let us
1st.
know.
You can do a white loop back with the yellow, or
I don't know, so we should walk. I'll get Evan and we'll walk, and maybe you'll want to join us, which is,
Just let me know.
Man,
when Evan gets back, he's got,
these are the 2 trees that,
Oh.
and the trail.
these are the 2 trees that
Yeah.
Claudio cut
And
down.
if you move to the next one, there is another one.
Trees.
It's on the white trail near the Barbizon.
okay.
Do we have a memorial service for that tree?
Oh,
If a tree falls in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay.
so
With my hands off.
With a handsaw.
so one of them had a red ribbon on it.
Yes, I put it. Sometimes.
He marked them before.
That's the one I cut up today. They were both on the ground.
Oh,
Oh, on the ground.
on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yes. No, I cut them down, you can see, and then I left on the ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he cut them up for you, wow. And
Yeah.
It's telepathy.
I cut some of the secondary branches so people could cross on top of it.
I like the action photo.
Okay, any other comments on the land steward report?
Just-
Glad to have, oh, go ahead.
Maybe to bring me up to speed, how's liability handled?
Because we're a municipality, we have a general insurance policy.
Okay.
And what it does is volunteers are not allowed to use mechanical equipment unless our land stewards have a liability policy that indemnifies the town. So that's
But in terms of hikers tripping or getting injured?
a state indemnification or policy, but they'll still sue you. Yeah, but anyway, we're different than a nonprofit because they don't have to worry about municipal liability. So that's why they require a liability policy. And all three of our land stewards have that. Anything else on land steward report? Any comments or? Okay, existing business, open space updates. Not that much really. We Jim Mildred and Wayne Abrahamson are working on Jimmy's Pond, the spillway. We went through wetlands, got approval. They've got equipment. Evan was there the other week. He shot me a picture. It's still under construction, but Jimmy built the Tree in the Gap parking lot, which looks like it's been there forever. That's kind of our criteria. Don't make it look new, but make it, safe and everything. And so Jimmy built the pond originally for Rook at Rook's Meadow, and so he knows everything about it. So I go, well, how about, and he looks at me and I go, whatever. So Evan's been over, I've been over, and it's just, looking very nice. We had a problem, the pond was overflowing. We had a beaver. Now the beaver's been displaced. So if you're in Rook's Meadow, you'll see the beaver is laying his trees out on the meadow, which is amazing. I said, what's all that? They said, that's the beaver laying it. So it'll probably have a beaver deceiver afterwards. But it's just beautiful. He's pulling rocks and, grading it and just doing a little bit of, when the spillway comes down, then it'll go right into the brook that sweeps around and goes into the other pond on the other siblings' property. So, but it's looking very nice and hopes to be complete in the next couple of weeks. Let's see, nothing else on McCulloch. We did pass. We went to the Board of Selectmen that I think it was last Monday for the horseback riding. We got their approval. We received, either Monday or Tuesday, a check from the Tevis family to pay the attorney's fees, and I had an appointment with the attorney on Friday. He was in court, and then he's away this week. So I said, here it is, sooner than later. We have a meeting June 8th, and we'd like to have, the documents, and he's going to communicate with their attorney. So at this point, there's no news to report on that.
Is their property contiguous to the?
The Vasiloff property, and they wanted to use, we gave them permission to use or we're in the process of possibly giving them permission, depending on what the attorneys create, to the Red Trail and the Green Trail, and then there's a piece that we swapped with the Vasiloff so we could connect McCulloch over here and McCulloch here. And the Vasiloffs reserved a right-of-way, 25-foot wide right-of-way across it, so which goes to other property that the Vasiloffs own. And so they're going to let them ride on their property and then see where they go. But
You gonna advertise that, or in any way?
We are waiting for the attorneys.
Right, but once it's all said and done, I'm just thinking if other people wanted to ride,
Well,
there's really no place to bring a horse carrier in. And
Right, we'll be putting signs up. But we need the attorneys and everybody to
Yeah,
work
okay.
out all the details. When they've worked it out, that will come back to us at meetings to see if we agree, and then it'll go to the Board of Selectmen. So there'll be time for input. But it's a new step. I did get a phone call. In the throes of everything else, I got a phone call from a rock climbing group that wanted to do rock climbing on the cliffs over on Library Lane. I go, what? And so I talked to him for a while, and I talked to Evan, and if you've ever walked the Library Lane, it's beautiful. The cliffs are gorgeous. But we had in the past a property dispute with the owner on the other side of the cliff, and they own, I think the property owner up there owns this very precarious stone wall, and that's a very narrow trail, and I said, I'm not sure we want to do this, so we'll entertain ideas. They never sent me a packet. I asked them they could call in for the meeting, so, but...
Is it town property? Is that a town property?
Yes, that's Champlain South.
Oh,
But that we've done the Hikers Happy Hour on that, but when you look up at the cliff, you'll see this old stone wall that's kind of waving back. So I said, so I haven't heard anything more, but I said, oh, well, whatever. Hikers Happy Hour is June 1st. We're going to be doing Champlain South, the White Trail. Hopefully Mike will be leading. We should do a walk before to make sure that everything else is...
that's at 5 p.m., right?
4:15 is...
4:15, in at 5.
In at 5.
Okay, I thought it was...
You don't have to hike. You can be at the happy hour.
Well, apparently I was in court that day, the meeting last time, but I guess there weren't that many people on the hike, but there were a lot. There were 16 or 17.
Yeah, there were 16 or 17. It was an interesting parcel, actually.
Oh, so, you did Jericho.
Jericho, which was, I guess, where Mary I didn't realize she owned that. Mary Stubbe also gave, I guess, the land trust $1 million, and the other parcel, right, that has the Fishway. Griswold, Woodward, and George Griswold.
Oh, I didn't realize she gave. Oh, that was Mary Stubbe's too?
I think so.
Oh, I'm not.
I think she was a Griswold.
Oh,
and she lived in the house that they own and rent. So I learned a lot on that.
Yeah. Okay, bring our A game, guys. We got to find a little facts.
I've got to go back because I'm interested in identifying vernal pools right now. Now's the time to do it because the critters are in the pools, egg masses, and actually the wood frogs have hatched already.
If you get a chance, I'd love to have you go walk over at the one, it's right off Tree in the Gap parking lot. It's right
That's
there.
one property I haven't been to yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you can check out the new spillway they're building, the pond. Rich Snarsky tagged that one. So it's close to wetlands when we were putting our park.
But I thought what we should do is we should certainly identify all vernal pools on municipal property and probably land trust property, because if something goes on adjacent to it, theoretically, if you're within 400 feet, you need a permit from the wetland agency, but I don't think they know where the vernal pools are from what I've seen so far.
Well, we got a permit. We had a vernal. But yeah, if you want to create some type of sign, we can get a sign.
It's easy. I could even train volunteers to do it. It's so simple to do this time of year.
Well, one thought that someone mentioned is if we put a sign up, then they're going to go tromping through the woods to see the vernal. So, okay, well, that was, a concern.
You would do a hike, a vernal pool hike, and look on the hike. So you don't necessarily have to tell it, but there's at least 3 or 4 vernal pools on Champlain North because I live so close to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a couple.
Every time I go in there, I want to cut Japanese barberry, but I'm going to bring my clipper and gloves.
We get a work party over there.
Oh.
I think there are a couple. I know there's definitely one. I think there are a few more on Champ. But yeah, I'd love to go for a walk sometime and look. But yeah, that would be something, if we could come up with, some type of sign, then wherever we have one, and then we could put it on our hiking trails map.
Yeah, it's just a project that'll just happen,
Yeah.
little by little.
Well, we have funds for it, so that would be great. So everyone, love to see everybody at the Hikers Happy Hour. So please come and pass the word out. We'll get signs made and we put them out here and around the library and things. Number 3, affordable housing. Evan and I met with Mike Fogliario, the Affordable Housing Commission. Their plan is due by, I think, June 1st, and they are interested, and they've been working for the last 2+ years on making the 2 building envelopes on McCulloch into the affordable housing lots. And so I just got an email this afternoon asking us to meet with him and Mike and I think the Planning Commission and a couple other people next week, so we may have a meeting. But we had, when the town purchased the property, we broke it out, $500,000 for the purchase of the land and $100,000 for 2 affordable housing lots that were envelopes that were appraised at $100,000 each. We got them for $100,000 total versus $200,000, but they were to be made into affordable housing lots within 5 years, and the Open Space Acquisition Fund is to be reimbursed the $100,000, and if it doesn't happen, then it gets rolled into open space and it's gone forever. So,
How does that? Does someone buy the lot and it's at a reduced price?
we bought it through the open space.
No, but I mean, how does the person that needs the affordable housing get there?
That's the affordable housing
Okay.
question, not mine. I'm just looking for the check. So, and it was our recommendation in the McCulloch family.
My wife has been working on that through environmental justice issues, and some municipalities have kind of a land trust that buys the land, owns the land, and builds the structure, and people can rent it at an affordable rate in perpetuity. Because when you do it privately, I've been involved in municipal land use for quite a few years, some time ago, but those units that are set aside, let me tell you, there's no one really tracking which units they are, what the rent is after it happens. And this is in a big town like Greenwich, where they just forget about it. So
this one, these 2 lots are off of Flat Rock, and they're next to 2 affordable housing houses. The land is owned by Hope, which was took over from Old Lyme Affordable Housing, and they own the land. The people own their houses.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's some question of whether Hope's going to continue, or if the town buys the land and the people build their own house, or if they do something with Habitat for Humanity. But as I said, that's up to them. And the thing about affordable housing is, if it's an affordable housing project, then you can get around a lot of the regulations, the planning regulations. But it's these 2 lots they're actually building envelopes because they're not approved lots. Have conservation restrictions on it, and there is a roadway, and if they have to do another roadway, it may affect our open space access. So that's why we stay involved in it, to make sure that.
And they're 1 acre?
No, they're 3 acre.
Each lot?
Because they are building envelopes set aside by the family when they got the Nature Conservancy easement. They cannot be changed. Took us 6 months to get the approval from Nature Conservancy over here. I tried to do cluster zone. I tried everywhere. No, this is it.
It's going to be 1 house per envelope?
Yes.
Wow.
But it's beautiful. You put the house at the end of the road, so we split it this way, so you don't have to do more driveway or road. And so the back lot is just beautiful stone walls and ferns and trees and wildlife. So, you know, it was very nice.
And they have to break ground within this 5-year period?
They have to give open space acquisition fund a check for $100,000 because it came out of our acquisition fund. So now the question is, you know, at one point they said, well, can't you hold a mortgage and pay you if we build the houses? And I said, we're not the banker. Mm-hmm. We're an acquisition fund. Mm-hmm. And so then the town needs to step up. So they're working on that. We're just looking for the check. And we hope it comes to fruition because, you know, we need affordable housing here. And, you know, they're 2 beautiful lots, so we'll see what happens. Miscellaneous, I don't really have anything else. Does anyone else have any thoughts, comments, anything they want to bring to our attention on any of the open space properties? Then I'm going to go into 4B, Ferry Landing, and congratulations to Anne on the grant award. And you sent your report to everybody?
Greg did.
Oh, Greg did. Okay, so turn it over to Anne.
Okay. Well, so yeah, we have $7,500, which is nice, plus our budget for this project from the town.
Our capital expenditure budget got approved.
And you know, if you had a chance to read the report, sort of the takeaway at this point is we're kind of faced with grappling with the idea of using herbicide if we want to really address the Phragmites issue. And so that's a conversation I think we all need to have. And I don't know if today is the right day to have it. There's some people missing that probably, you know, have some good perspective on it. But as I said, if we do, as a commission, decide that that's something we're going to go forward with, then we have to put together a policy on it. And I think, Amanda, you mentioned that it would be a good idea to go through the Board of Selectmen to get their
Well, to advise them. Yeah. We did advise them initially. Let me just interject for a moment. We adopted a policy a couple years ago of no.
Right.
Then Peter Cable and I think Claudio had part of a conversation that came back to us and said, well, maybe. And so it might be good if we did that to pick up with that. I mean, I think I read somewhere in one of the Audubon pamphlets that said, you know, no herbicides, no pesticides, all this stuff. So it's a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
So on the town website, I mean, that's listed, there's a ban on using glyphosate. Mm-hmm. You extended it to all herbicides? Is that? We said... Specifically mentioned glyphosate on our policy on... I'd have to review it. I didn't have a chance to review it. And I think, didn't it say on a case-by-case study or something? I can't remember. I'd have to go back to that.
Yeah, I know, because I think we kind of left it open on a case-by-case study.
Yeah.
My concern, not only, you know, I mean, it's a big change, and a lot of people are for it, and a lot of people are against it. Yeah. And I would think that, because we have a very active, not a homeowners association, but a very active neighborhood with
right.
We'd have to discuss it with them.
Well, we wouldn't be able to use it without their permission, ultimately. You know, that because they're abutters to the pond, they would have to, I guess, I haven't fully read but there's a release form that they have to sign in order for us to use it.
If we use that company?
For anyone.
So for anybody that abuts, because not all the lots abut the pond.
Well, that's interesting.
See, that's where I really think we need to get a little committee and research it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, an attorney might need to advise us on that. That requirement was told to me by, Roger Wolf, who has...
That's a deep policy.
Right. Well, I don't know. He made it sound like you have to do this. It's part of the, you need to get a permit from DEEP, and you need to get a liability waiver or whatever from all of the neighbors.
Well, and one of the neighbors would be DEEP, which would
Indeed
take years.
Generally, these are approved by DEEP.
Yeah.
These herbicides.
So, well, I'm just wondering why, if it's approved, why do you have to, all these landscape companies that come around and spray in
I know.
towns and
there's
everywhere.
way worse stuff getting used just by
Yeah.
people who come to, get rid of your mice or something. But it is an aquatic issue, so...
Yeah, if you use an aquatic pesticide, then all the pond owners adjacent to the pond need to sign off, and if one says no, end of.
But,
Now, that's even for aquatic weed treatment.
Do they need waterfront on the pond itself?
Anybody that owns part of that pond could
but if you
object.
don't own,
In this case.
there's only one or two lots that have a touch of the pond.
Right.
Yeah.
The rest of the pond is owned by
Okay.
Us.
us,
The town, it's a narrow little strip.
except I think you have to be careful because I'm not sure where Shippey Pond ends and...
Well, and it may also be one of those things like for zoning, if you have to notify neighbors within an
Right.
X.
For the pond, though, it's where you have to own part of the
You do.
pond to agree to the
Well, I'd
treatment.
be interested what Rogers Lake is doing.
But if it's on our land, then no one has to agree. If it's
Right.
on our land, no one has to agree, but the town has to have the policy.
But it's interesting because isn't DEEP using this type of aquatic pesticide on other herbicide on other property, but so how could they say you can do it on this one but not on this one?
Yeah,
So
I don't-
that would,
well,
Or maybe they got their permissions in those cases.
Yeah, that was Great Island, I think, and a major kind of
Lawrence
plan.
Cove, they
Yeah.
were,
Right, but I don't know if they own any of the actual pond deep.
well, I don't think they do either, but
They
you
might
know.
in that Shippey Pond part.
Well, see, but that's where they own Shippey Pond.
Yeah,
So
that connects.
And it's open borders, it's water, so
Right.
it's water bordering water, so, it's,
They would need to sign off on an aquatic.
I would think they would,
That's, you're talking about DEEP.
Yeah.
yeah.
But this may not be an issue, right? It may not be an issue.
Well-
If we decide not to use herbicide, it's
Well,
definitely not
either
an
way,
issue.
Either way.
Well, so let me ask you a question on your report. So do you have to do one before the other, or can you do the invasives and leave Phragmite out for a while, or do we gotta do it together? I wasn't,
When you mean the upland
Yeah.
portion? Oh, they're completely separate.
Separate.
Completely separate. If we wanted to wait 5 years to figure out, get our ducks in a row for
the Phragmite.
it
So,
doesn't.
okay, that's what I didn't wanna hold up the rest of it if
No.
we're still
No,
playing with the Phragmite and getting permission and things like
Right,
that.
right.
Or someone, as you said, says no,
Uh-huh.
then,
But I think it's also a real, if again, we all as a commission agree that it's acceptable and in this case, it really is kind of the only way to get at this stuff.
it's frightening, isn't it?
It is.
No,
Then it's an opportunity for, public outreach and education on, because I think there is, certainly I myself would have been like, no, we shouldn't be using herbicide in that pond. And I'm not thrilled that that's the way to deal with it, but I have, read the science, and it does seem that they're saying no impact.
So what herbicide are they talking about?
Imazapyr. So, that's been used very successfully and it has a lot of the same, talking points or whatever as glyphosate in that, it's soluble in the water, it's not active in water, it's not active in soil, it's only active while it's in the plant system. And so I'm sure it's I'm not sure, I shouldn't say, I'm not a chemist, but it's probably related to glyphosate, and it's
Which one you said? Sorry.
imazapyr.
You know, it might be nice to follow up with Rich Snarsky, and he's got backing from the Nature Conservancy
Right.
for the Lord's Cove project, which is, it seems to me, in this area, maybe a field trip up and say, gee, can we come see, we're thinking about doing this?
Right.
And, you know,
Right.
because he's someone that does it too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just to see what you know, his slant is. I just, you know, we've used him before on open space properties. He's a soil scientist, and people are writing up. He says he's got new growth. He's got, you know, it's gone. The Phragmites is gone.
So is that more or less a permanent fix for the Phragmites? I mean,
You know, I think that given the way invasives populate, that it's not, you can't say never.
yeah.
You know, bird droppings or however it gets transmitted, or, you know, through the air, I don't know. But it appears in places somehow. It gets a start
Sure,
somehow.
yeah,
So if you erase it, you can't say it's never coming back. But, you know, it's a good fix until you have more. And then it's
So this might
easier
be
to
a routine
manage.
maintenance type of thing? Or
Well,
every once in a while
actually,
we
I
have to knock
spoke
it
with-
back down when it rears its ugly head.
Right, I mean,
The place becomes salty.
yeah. So I think it could be managed without herbicide
Yeah.
after you
Right.
eradicate it,
Like a hand weed.
because then you really can, you know, just, it's more manageable. The colony that's there now is impressive, and would, you know, even if you went just to try and cut it down, the only way to do it would be by hand, and it's not manageable or practical in any way.
Is there any activity, aquatic activity? I remember when we first started cutting the Phragmites, and this is probably, I'd say 10 or 12 years ago. We did it 3 years in a row in the fall with Malcolm doing the work. And they were saying they were seeing, you know, frogs and salamanders and things like this.
Probably turtles.
Yeah, or whatever. I was just curious if anyone...
Jumping with life.
Is it? It's still
Crazy.
now? Oh,
We actually, Roger brought down a couple of kayaks, and we launched from
Oh, really?
Chickasaw Park, and we went all through.
Oh,
the whole pond.
nice.
It was gorgeous. And they said that the heron population, it's
the
all
heron.
over, it must
Well,
be.
we saw the herons when we were down that day,
Right.
remember? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great blue, and the green herons were like,
Wow.
just like at least a dozen of them.
Are they nesting? Or?
I have to think that it's not there, then very close by, but, you know, lots of avian activity all over the place, and turtles galore, which, you know, and it's, yeah, very healthy. And in fact, Roger, the last time we met him there previous, just out of curiosity, he took a water sample, and he said that the salinity level was, you know, not negligible, if
Oh,
at
really?
all. Yeah. So
'Cause it does have that
fresh water.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything moving through there.
Oh, you think it's another block culvert?
Another black.
Thank God.
Is there a culvert that connects it to?
The legend is, legend has it, and I'm still trying to meet with this guy, Doug Patterson, who is the DEP, you know, sort of property manager for the
For that headquarters.
Because, like, how does water get out of the pond? Let's say you have a major hurricane or something, and you get 12 inches, the pond
I'm
just
sure it washes over.
floods over the road.
Yeah.
Well, they're originally, and I think Patricia Shippey told that, in fact, we should invite her to the happy hour. I'll give her a buzz or send her an email. That her husband dug that pond, Shippey Pond. That's why it's called Shippey Pond. And there was a culvert that went under the road to the other side, and
The river.
so, yeah, so.
Probably got a tide gate on it, so
So that's why, we were curious, and then when Roger did that salinity, and he said, so it may be blocked,
Yeah, I would think that.
It probably hasn't been maintained since the pond was dug.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure, but it'd be interesting. So, that's interesting.
I don't think my feeling about the herbicides is that it really shouldn't hold us up.
No, I was just gonna say,
I'm not that familiar with Mazapir, so I don't know the details, but I did get involved with the glyphosate issue, and as a scientist, I researched that a lot. And the public was fed a lot of information that wasn't scientifically true and caused a lot of fear, unnecessarily, I felt. So, it may not be as dangerous as people think, and maybe there's some education that needs to be done there within the committee and outside the committee. I don't know how people feel.
well, I think you're right. It's a component of it, and we need to focus on that with a small group or something. But there is the other part of it, which I'd hate to stop everything just to deal with Phragmites.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see. So, what can you? I see you're talking about goats. What can you tell us about what your other thoughts and how you're going to work this grant money?
Right. So, really, I think that the thrust of the first year is going to be about documentation. So, identifying what's there, good and bad, and, doing a seasonal check on various things, including the water quality in the pond. But if we can, again, I have to get through to the elusive Doug Patterson. If we can access our property from that Shippey Pond Park, I think it's very, it makes it much more accessible. And, I did have a conversation just this afternoon with a young man from All Habitat Services, and he's going to, we just set a site visit for him to come and look next Friday, so a week from this Friday at 2:30, if anybody's interested in being there with the company.
Okay. You might send an email out on that. I think I have an afternoon appointment.
But, what I'm envisioning is if we can get sort of a little bit of access onto our property, and that's also, we have to sort of mark out where, state property ends and ours begins at that point, and create a pilot area, even if it's very small, 20 by 50 or less, 20 by 20, I don't know, something manageable where we can, again, start slow, identify, okay, this year we're only going to do vines and, knotweed or something. And
the knotweed on there?
I'm sure there is, although the canopy is dense enough that it might not be. There's so much other stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you did a study on it.
Well, so there's knotweed right next to it. There's knotweed on the state property.
It'll spread.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. But also Suzanne, who joined us on one of our many visits there, Suzanne Thompson, is interested in doing a Nix the Knotweed demo there. And so I don't know, if all the knotweed turns out to be on state property, then I don't know if she can talk to them about doing something there, but if not knotweed, then there's plenty of other culprits to target. But again, I really think it's an editing at the beginning because, very concerned about going in there and just taking down a bunch of ailanthus if they're herons that are roosting in them, or it could be not what we really want to start with.
No, because we have to respect the wildlife in there.
Yeah.
So if I would never, and I'm sure you would never, none of us would clear cut the whole thing and.
No, we don't have the money for that anyway. But yeah, so it's the next month probably is going to be figuring out, I'll be interested to hear what All Habitat would charge to help us get started on that.
What would All Habitat do?
Well, just to penetrate it through that density and get access to an area and carve it out, mark it out, you're going to need, chainsaws or equipment of some sort that we don't have the liability coverage for. And, they're probably saplings, or, small caliper trees, but if we can, get them to sort of create a pathway for us, then we can have a work party in there and address, bittersweet with one group or what have you.
But I was just curious where All Habitat, which is versus maybe a landscaping crew that could come in for less, or versus the goats. So I was trying to think.
The goats are expensive, and one thing I didn't realize is in order for them to, they are from Rhode Island, and there may be a Connecticut
state
option. I don't know. The one that I did explore that I know was in Connecticut doesn't come as far east as where we are. So the closest one seemed to be this Rhode Island outfit, and in order for the goats to cross state lines, they have to have a vet certification within 30 days.
Landscaping crew.
and transporting a large number of goats, what is not terribly far, but farther than their usual jurisdiction apparently. They said it would be a 5-day minimum.
I have a friend that has goats nearby. Maybe I can get her.
You probably have to fence them in.
You do have to fence them.
Well, usually they have those little invisible fence things that they put around or something. But they, for all this hoopla, I could just see them getting loose in Herb Chambers. I said maybe a landscaping crew. If we kind of knew what not to take, like with a surveyor. I have a group that comes that does my yard a couple times a year. And it's amazing what they do.
Well, a man with a chainsaw can do a lot. The 314.
A woman can do a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I don't do them,
but it's electric and it's.
But a landscaping crew just comes in and just as long as. I think you'd have to say cut out the vines. You'd have to tell them what to do.
Exactly. It would definitely need supervision because they just go kind of.
Well, they have machetes.
Yeah. So, that's obviously an option. The one thing about the All Habitat group is that they do Phragmites, and they would be, if we are going to address the Phragmites in the fall, I think it's worth getting them out there they're going to give a bid for that as well as, whatever we can discuss for the upland portion. And the upland portion may be, too small fry for them at this point, and it would be, just as good to hire some.
Were you thinking from Shippey Pond over to where the new house is?
Not that, I don't know that we'd be doing the whole, I don't know how many feet that is. I have to really look at the survey and see, what area would be doable. And I don't know that would be all the way over to the new property, which, by the way, they've been. I was at break. All day long. All I hear is chippers. It's kind of makes you sick to your stomach. They've taken almost every tree down.
Where's that?
314 Ferry Road.
It's a lot next
neighbor to the east.
Yeah, I didn't think there were many trees left.
I know, right? And yet they have found them.
They found some trees
Definitely
to cut.
found more.
Well, and then the neighbor next door was concerned there were some boundary issues, so everybody's remarking their boundaries and.
Yeah, so
Is that the lot we walked through to get down to the pond?
No.
I'll look it up.
This is the one across from Herb Chambers, the lot that was sold that originally was on Audubon. And that's where our property abuts it. So that's why I thought maybe. And I talked to them at the sidewalk, they might allow us access as long as they didn't construction, but I think if you can get access over on the other side, it'd be better.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that, there could be some collaboration with the state, certainly with the Shippey Pond portion of the Phragmites work, and perhaps, with the knotweed and who knows, some additional removal work as you go over onto our side, but
I wouldn't expect any money from them. They never have money.
no, but they might, if they're maintaining that park, they may have equipment that's already there, and, who knows?
Well,
Just worth a conversation.
Yeah, I think one of the issues, I'm not an attorney, but if we access there, is there some type of...
Well, that's what I need to ask him. Yeah. And so, that would be a big disappointment to me if that does not work out to be a good arrangement.
It would mean, I think, can we just have, and sometimes a word like temporary access versus, we're not creating, because you can't claim any municipal land, but we want a temporary access during the warm months so we can clean up ours, and if
and who knows, maybe Patricia Shippey can put in a good word for us. If she was, if it was her, family, if she and Nate were the ones that made that park even possible for the state, she may have some sway.
So many of these invasives, they overlap into the state property.
Yeah,
so you don't stop, ideally, you just eradicate them.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're just going to migrate back over.
Right over.
So
that's another reason for not going gonzo with removals is unless you're going to plant really densely, you open up the canopy and you're just going to start a growing frenzy.
Well, I think, being a municipality, being open space, and how we're protecting and preserving and what our goals are, maybe they might recognize that the temporary access easement, and would they like us if there is some knotweed? We have a knotweed expert.
Right.
So, like Friends of Harkness, that type of thing. We could maybe, when we get ours under control, help them.
Right, yeah. So I don't want to take up too much more time, but if I put my glasses on, I can actually see. So I guess it seems to me like it would be great to have a couple of people who felt like stepping up and being part of the Herbicide Next Steps group. And Andrea has very nicely stepped up and will be helping me out with she'll probably wind up helping out with the Three Rivers students as well as the...
Oh, good. She's very good about getting all those things.
And I think that even if we, get a very, modest start on some upland removal work this year, I do think there's a lot of educational work that we can be doing, documentation. The Three Rivers folks have a drone and some sort of deluxe GIS. It's like not GIS, it's more than that or something.
GIS Plus.
Yeah. It has a whole different name. I was like, what does that do? But, so we can really get our information teed up, and then, whether we are able to do the Phragmites in the fall or not remains to be seen at this point.
With the upland, if you do it gradually, there's a benefit there because you
can see,
things like that. So that may be the best way to go anyway.
Right, yeah.
Peter Cable, who was a member of this commission for a number of years, said he would be interested in helping out occasionally. And I was thinking, because he originally wrote the herbicide policy, and then I think you worked with him a little bit on it. So I would reach out to Peter Cable because he said, and this is his field, and I don't know if you want to have some input into it or just any thoughts on
Part of the discussion, sure.
Yeah, so maybe that.
Audio, I saw you sort of... Yes, maybe no.
Yeah, I could collaborate.
Okay.
Well, I think we know the one chemical they've talked about using. We know what plant they're putting it on, and it's aquatic use. So it's not like we're exploring all herbicides on all property. So, and I think it'd be useful to and I'll call Snarsky or somebody can, to go and do a little, I'd like to see what's going on up
Now,
there.
is the frag there in the water?
Well,
Because normally it can grow on upland, I mean, without any
I think
problem. So it's on
upland-
upland, why would we have to get an aquatic permit if it's all on, if it's an island that's above the water level?
Well, I think if we did a field trip, that would.
I don't know, I mean.
When we were in the kayaks, it looked like it was in the water.
In the water?
There are islands, but quite honestly, I think they may be mats of Phragmites that have emerged as islands, which is, that's the other case to be made, is if you don't address the Phragmites.
It will fill the
It
pond.
will fill the pond in, and then where do the birds go? There's no more fresh water source, it's like, so.
Yeah, but that would be certainly a question for him, and then Nature Conservancy is working with them, so I think if we kind of phrase this in a positive way, and that's, I was gonna ask you, we do, quarterly articles for Events Magazine, and this might be a good one, just to maybe start with what we're doing.
Right.
I wouldn't put anything out there about, but just saying, this is, our goal, it's a long-term goal, we've gotten some grants for it, and then.
So are you saying to talk about this project or to talk about using herbicides?
This
No.
project, I would not put out herbicides.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I think when you tell the public what we're starting, and then as we go along over time, then you can introduce something. It's like new babies introducing food to them, So I think, if we reach that point, then we'll, make a statement. But I think to tell people what we're doing, and also ask for some volunteers. If it's a good place to look for volunteers. Some people like to do one-shot deals. And if you said, we're going to have a couple work parties, identify stuff, we don't think there's any poison ivy, and then can you come help, and then we might, and it's a great way to recruit people too.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I can definitely work something up for that, and
Greg
also
has the deadline.
toot our own horn that we got a grant for it.
Oh, yeah, and $7,500 for capital expenditure.
Is that a matching grant? Do we have to match 75?
Just straight up cash. And in fact, I left a message with Michelle Nurin to try and find out, the check should have
I haven't
arrived.
heard anything, no.
Because if it hasn't, then we need to figure out where it went.
But also that capital expenditure starts July 1st of this year
Okay.
and goes till June 30th, so it's 1 year, and we need to spend it.
All right. I mean, the Community Foundation is very understanding. Look at the way it's worded. They say, this is a grant to be accomplished within this year. But if you look more closely, if you've gotten a start on it and there were things beyond your control or whatever, but, hopefully we won't have too much trouble spending $75.
Well, I was thinking,
Yeah, you can
ours is only for 1 year, and we can go back and ask, but if we don't, so that's why.
Do they let you carry over?
Yes, but I'm on my knees begging to
Begging.
carry over, so I'm telling Jimmy on the spillway, please, by June 15th, my year
June
ends.
30th.
Yeah, so I need to, so, yes. Yes, I'm always, I've still got one beaver deceiver left, and I said, I gotta get the spillway done before I get the beaver deceiver, because I can't do it in the budget, I have to carry it over. I said, the weather's, stuff happens.
Right, and the other fun fact was, as I mentioned, I've been talking with Suzanne Thompson about they've been kind of investigating this biofuel business that's setting up shop in Saybrook, and we'll have some material to get rid of, some plant material, and if they are functioning, I think that would be another great educational component to add to. We're not just cutting things down and dumping them someplace; they're being used in an environmentally productive way. So.
Could you send me maybe some reference or background information so I can take a look on the herbicide?
Sure. So there's a couple of link that I put in this.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll double check, because quite honestly, I read through those a while back now, and I had COVID in between, so my brain may not be what it used to be. But I'll make sure that at least one of those is specific to a Mazepin.
Okay.
I think, in fact, I know at least one of them.
Okay, yeah, just let me know.
There's a fact sheet on it in there. Yeah.
Just a general question, how do you see people getting involved with the property, access to the property in the future, using it?
We discussed not having public access at all, actually, which is why part of the educational component would also be installing wildlife cameras. And so when we were discussing Andrea's report, which maybe we're going to get to now, I don't know.
She's next.
But I would love to see, it seems like there's a case to be made for some web assistance for open space, because, if we were able to, she was trying to show me some footage, and you have to really navigate around to find it. And if we could get someone who has those skills to...
We have funding for that, so if anyone knows anyone, because you need the attention span of us. Yeah.
Right, and also to make it like search engine positive or whatever, so that if somebody, Googles, Beaver's Old Lyme or something, one of the things that comes up is our footage, so that's how the public will mainly be involved, with the exception of maybe some bird count outings for like Audubon or something.
But the nice thing about our pond is that it's right next to Shippey Pond, that's got a bench and a nice grassy spot, so you can have an observation. And
clear out all the invasive phragmites you can see.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you get those phragmites out of there, you'll be able to have a very good look at our property.
Well, the other thing was when we were there, and the tree with the herons and everything. So and it's right across from the town boardwalk and a little town beach and things like that. So, and with maybe Mike's expertise, we could talk about what bird life there is there, identify things.
Well, there is an eBird hotspot.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Yeah.
So you could go in and look at eBird for that location, that hotspot, DEP Marine Center, I think it's called.
That would be nice to put in.
It has quite an extensive list of birds that have been seen there by the public that put it in, including me.
Do you know if any rails have been spotted?
I'd have to look through the data.
Roger was thinking that he might have seen.
It's possible.
Yeah.
You would hear them probably before you saw them.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I guess we're all kind of gravitating towards the metaverse in the future, but that's a few observation points along the way to look at. So you mentioned from Shippey Pond.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe from the other side of the deep property you could go.
Right.
Yeah, you can't see much from Shippey Pond, and what you have to do is the best location for some of the birds is you sort of go by the DEP training building.
Oh, in the way in the back.
Where there's some boat trailers, and you get up at the highest point near one of the boat trailers, and you can look.
You have a yard back there.
You get a good. So it'd be nice if DEP put a little viewing point there for birds or something.
Well, that's something to bring up if we get rid of the frag. So. I think it has to evolve. We have, I think.
But Shippey Pond in there would be good, and you just leave the other alone. That's why the birds are there, because it's quiet and nobody.
Well, that's the other thing, is it attracts.
Quiet lately.
Oh no, it's been just.
They couldn't have picked a worse time, like nesting, and really, it's heartbreaking.
Well, thank you. Very thorough. Any other comments or questions for Anne?
They are. Quite robust. Nothing to say.
Andrea is not here. I just read over her report. I missed it, unfortunately, but she'll be working with Anne on Ferry Landing. She said Lyme Youth Service Bureau may have an event at Rooks Meadow. And her question to the commission was that it's $18 a month for the camera, and she hasn't, the wildlife cameras that we installed, there are 2 of them, on Ames, the beaver and wildlife area, observation area, and she hasn't had somebody put them together for viewing lately. And the question was, do we want to keep continuing to pay $18 a month? Should we discontinue the cameras for a while, or?
These videos, so it's showing video online somewhere?
I think they're videos, aren't they?
Or are they
Well,
just
it's-
still cameras that are taking pictures at some...
No, it's video.
Yeah.
And
Like
then she had
a osprey, what are we looking at?
well, the beavers, we had deer, we had some other animals.
But 90% of the time, there's nothing?
Right. So, I mean, I don't know.
And we did get a grant for them.
I don't know if it's, what she's paying, if what $18 a month is paying for is renting the cameras?
No, it's
Transmitting
the
the
cell.
data?
The cell.
Okay, so, because maybe it's just something that somebody can go and take the whatever that little SIM, not SIM card, but that little...
The SD card.
No, it's got to send it to somewhere, so...
No, we decided to send it so someone wouldn't have to go out.
Right, well, what I'm saying is if we don't want to pay $18 a month, and if we're, 90% of the time nothing is there, and if it's motion activated...
It is motion activated. I remember that part of
We
it.
probably get a fair number, like maybe even a month's worth of...
Yeah, it sounds like maybe just a still,
card.
just someone go out monthly or to see what...
I mean, is the service being used? Do you have an idea how many people are,
Yeah, I don't even... where is
connecting
it?
and visiting
On our
it?
website?
If it's being used extensively, then it'd be worth it. If it's not, then
I think
would-
I'd be shocked if it is because it's so hard to find.
Yeah.
That's probably...
I think it was initially on our website, but we had
You need a
a
link.
high school student or somebody that was doing it, and now apparently that student is not available, so it hasn't been digested and trimmed and put on our website, so we have a gap. So,
It may not be being used that much. In that case, I think maybe...
Yeah, but nobody's looking at it.
Well, we're so overloaded with, all kinds of things to watch.
But,
If you grab
keep the
some
camera.
stills, Yeah, grab some
well, I
stills.
was just curious if we just
And if
moved
you-
them over to your spot, Ann. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I put that in our budget, is getting, installing cameras. So,
I would tend to think, still shots are just as good as video because, unless you have a nest where you've got, a bird moving
Right.
all the time, and
Right.
that's only seasonal.
Yep.
You don't broadcast it in the winter
yeah.
because they're only there now, ospreys. There's like a dozen osprey cameras in Connecticut, or Cornell has them on all sorts of nests, but it's got to be boring as hell.
No
Well,
comment.
it's not, I don't think that it's recording like empty forest for, hours and hours.
It triggers, it's a motion sensor.
Okay.
So it's only activated and recording
We have a lot
when
of dogs.
somebody comes through.
Not on leashes.
So where's the link to this camera? I'll have to check it out.
So I think look on our webpage.
Okay.
I'll ask Greg Futoma and ask him to send us all some information on the camera and everything.
Meaning forget the $18 if we can get still, and someone's willing to bring this and download the stuff
I don't...
once a month, I'll do it.
Exactly. I think that's very doable.
Yeah.
And
You
achieve...
could probably download it right to your phone or something, or an iPad or something.
It could be something that could be included with the different properties that we have. So this is spotted, this is...
Right.
Yeah.
Engage people.
If we own the cameras and stuff.
Well, we do. We own the cameras.
They're in decent shape. Sometimes the cameras really...
They have a
They have a very short well, I've been involved with Osprey cams, Connecticut Audubon and Milford Point. And we used to, we've had it a long time, so we had a cable running out to it from the center.
Wow.
And we finally got a grant to make it, Wi-Fi. Well, I think it's radio signal really, because it's too far for Wi-Fi. And it's much improved. We don't have to worry, the cable was always being damaged. It always had to be repaired, and so, got to go out on salt marsh and muck.
Anything mechanical, I just blot my eyes
It's
on.
just
No.
electric, and your salt water and it's electrical.
Oh, yeah. Not good.
And then in the storm, I think we had installed a new camera, and the whole pole went over with the camera.
Oh, God. Well, I'll have Greg send you out some information, what we're doing. I think if we turn it off, then you have to restart the whole cell thing, and it gets billed to Andrea, and then it gets sent to me, and then I have to send it to finance and approve it, and what is this, and what department does it come out of? I don't know.
Well, it sounds to me like it would be good to have a plan of how we want this information to be shared with the public, and how to make it accessible on, and appealing on our website. And with that in mind, that would probably inform whether we think videos are really essential, or whether we could get away with still, or some video.
Or you have a series of stills. These are the photos that happened at such and such open space on, May 2022.
Yeah, and
I mean, what else are you going to see? There's going to be a picture of a bear or a bobcat.
Well, when we
Beaver.
put those cameras in originally, we did the beaver and wildlife observation.
Yeah.
And so
That was probably active.
right, and so then, do you continue it for 60 years, or do you say, is it a year, and then this is what we have?
or you can move it around from, place to place. And then you have a year.
Well, the camera must be, someone has to go, probably it's battery powered,
It does.
right? So someone has to go out and
Yep. And
put in
in
new
fact,
batteries or
Andrea
charge the
had
batteries.
one at her house when I was meeting with her, and she showed it to me.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of comical how it's camouflage. And it for some reason, it just almost looked like a kid's toy walkie-talkie or something.
Oh, my gosh.
But obviously, it's far more sophisticated than that. But I was like, geez, this is
Catch kids smoking marijuana, but
okay now.
Yeah, it's allowed, it's allowed. As long as they're not selling it. If we catch that, we're in real trouble.
growing it on our property.
Oh.
Pragmatics with it.
That's a win-win.
Well, think about it. I'll have Greg send you some information about what it's doing, what it's going, and then let's decide maybe at the next meeting.
Yeah, it seemed to me maybe you'd move them around to different parcels, and
I don't know.
at least that would change, the view would change.
Right, yeah.
Not necessarily video.
I think they have moved them. Andrea and Evan have moved them a couple of times. But,
I would,
Occasionally I get on it.
Yeah.
so I think we need a little more information.
Check on it.
Would that be used to have some quantitative number of animals, species that they come up? If we select, let's say, 3 or 4 sites, and then we have the camera rotating during those 4 sites. June
Right.
2022, June 2023,
Yeah.
so on for 4 or 5
But the problem
years.
is, if you have to keep paying $18 a month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that, yeah.
Well, but which is
No,
why
I
you wouldn't need that if you were just doing stills.
yeah, if you can,
Right,
if you can
right.
just download the photos with
Maybe we could
video
find the
or
elusive
still.
bear that appears on Ames. Yeah, I don't,
Champlain North. Had a bear in August. I saw it, took a picture of it, it's on my phone.
Wow. That
why don't
should
you
be
put it
the
on our website?
It was crossing the
Put it on
road.
the website.
He was crossing, what was it, Hillwood West.
Wow.
I was at,
One got killed on Route 9
oh, I saw that.
a few months
We're
ago.
along Route 9.
Where was that?
Essex, was it Essex?
7 or 8 exits of,
Oh, so above Chester.
yeah, it just been hit. It's big too.
This was a small male.
When on my way back, I went over to Asheville, North Carolina. Did the Biltmore Mansion, which is incredible. But so anyway, we're going driving down through the entrance. It's a beautiful, entrance, and right in front of us is a bear crossing. Oh my God! I'm going, it's not that early. What is that? But so I don't know if he had a ticket or.
Got a red
Yeah, I was like, I'm not getting out of here. So, but anyway, I'll have Greg send us some information, and then let's talk about the next meeting. And any other comments, thoughts on Andrea's? Okay. Inland Wetlands, Gary Gregory, who's not here, says they're looked at a couple of sites, nothing really affecting us, and the same with conservation.
He's survived, he's tabled so far.
No, it's not. Did you see what's at a town meeting?
Is it? No.
The town
Going to town meetings? Are you joking?
May 16th, that's a new business. May 16th is a town meeting, and on the town meeting will be acceptance by the town of the Joseph parcel, which we've been trying for over 2 years to get. We acquired it as part of an open space subdivision. And the Joseph parcel is off of Short Hills. It's kind of like where Short Hills and Flat Rock split. If you go to the left, you go Flat Rock down to the Red Trail. Well, basically right there is an old Pentway, property owned by the May family, and next to that property is this, I think it's 5 or 6 acres of land, all landlocked, except it's surrounded on one side by McCulloch, up here by Lay, and on the other side, it's a beautiful Pentway, stone walls all the way up. It's not really accessible, but we do have a right-of-way across it. Right-of-way doesn't mean you have the right to improve it, but we will, it's one step closer to our crosstown trail and connecting with the properties on 4 Mile River.
Great.
So that will be at the town meeting, along with a parcel the town is selling, and then to vote on whether the selectmen can remove people from a commission if they're, I'm not quite sure I'm paraphrasing this right, if they have issues or somebody has issues with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the selectmen...
So they don't have the authority to do it. It would seem to me they need an ordinance. Are they passing an ordinance?
It could be an ordinance, I can't remember, so yes. So that means if they don't want you on this commission, they can just take you out.
That sounds...
Was the
So they
Joseph?
put you on. So
Well, normally you only get, it's a term. You serve for a term, and unless you do something illegal, I mean, the fact that they don't like you shouldn't be the only reason.
Criteria.
Well, I mean, what's the criteria? In Gary's situation,
And,
they haven't even really advised him.
well,
The chairman doesn't like him, hasn't really told him, and wants to get rid of him because he asks too many questions about sites that they want to approve. That's my take on it. I've only gone to 2 of their meetings.
well, I think it's unfortunate that personalities can dictate
Right.
who's on.
Yeah.
If you're a rubber stamp, I mean, that's what our whole country's based on, freedom of speech. And he's not disruptive, he's not,
He's not, and he's hard, I didn't realize it, but he's hard of hearing. He has a hearing aid, and he talks louder as a result. So he's louder at a meeting, and sometimes I don't think he hears everything that's being said at the meeting, because especially if there's multiple discussions, it's very hard for someone with that disability to hear. So,
And this is a municipality, and so we should be enhancing benefits for people with disabilities. So, but that's the latest take, so.
interesting. I didn't.
Yes,
I wonder if he even knows if they've told him.
I don't
Doubt
know.
it.
They referred it to the town attorney, so that's what came up.
The Joseph property, was that donated or purchased?
No, that was given as part of a subdivision. They're required to give 15% for land.
Oh, okay.
And I told the developer, he had this landlocked piece way off, and I said, that would be awesome if we got. So Just took me time to go. New business, I want to just mention Midsummer. I'm not sure if I'm here, but Claudio and I are somewhat of a committee. We're going to get together. I was thinking, we do have a display board from a couple of years ago about beavers. I checked with the library because at one point they did a little backpack for kids with books and all that stuff. We had it at a table. I was thinking it'd be nice to have something on Ferry Landing there.
Yeah.
So if you have any thoughts, want to help out.
What's the date again?
It's
the last Saturday.
no, it's the third. It's the third Saturday.
July?
Yes, I know, because we're supposed to be in Maine. If you, we're definitely looking for people to help set up and man the booth, because I'm not sure who will be there. And we're looking for a pop-up canopy, one of those little things, 10 by 10s, whatever they are.
I can't. I have a family event.
I have a family event too. But if you have, I'll show you sometime what we did a beaver board and we have books and stuff. So if you get it all, someone can put it out.
I can get it all set up.
Yeah, but I think it'd be nice to have that. In the past, Ballock's Garden did a whole bunch of literature on pollinator gardens, and we had plants that we sold, and that was really pretty.
Yeah, I contacted, well, just by chance. I have a person from the Connecticut Science Center that she will be willing to come, and because she's working on the butterflies habitat that they have special room for tropical butterflies, but she will be willing to check my insect collection and maybe help me to send that, and she will be willing maybe to work on a couple of presentations, maybe short or like
handouts are always
handouts
good.
Or
Pictures.
like on honeybees and the importance of pollinators, and also the importance of in general of insects in the cycle of life.
Well, especially bees, because we're losing all of our bees. So usually what we have is 3 tables and then a separate item on each table, a stand-up board, and we usually put the hiker's map out there, and a dog bowl for all the dogs. That's always.
Is it in a different location every time?
We are going to be, last couple of years we've been by the Lyme Art Association with a nonprofit, so we'll be next to the Land Trust, and they usually do rafters or something, so it's kind of nice. So I was thinking, too bad we couldn't get a pollinator garden next to us, and then we could kind of, and I think it's 9 to 4, and last time we were able, I think, to take things over the night before.
Okay.
So, but we're looking for people to work the booth,
I might be able to help that up a little, but...
if we have, like, for the raptors, for example, or the land trust, if we have a space with a few chairs, that this person will be, she will be willing to repeat any presentation, 5 minutes or something.
We usually have a couple chairs because people come and sit, or someone will be looking. So it's always nice to have extra chairs around. People say, rest your feet, let your dog drink the water. We got beavers. You got to be in sales.
If we could put some of the camera footage together, like spliced together and do.
Oh, that'd be maybe Andre could work. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Talk about our grants, little PR. It's just, it's people are. I've always people are enthusiastic. They like what we're doing, and they talk. And the Land Trust, they usually say, "Oh, you're open space," and they tell us we're the Land Trust. And so we always just kind of spoof on that. So hopefully it's a nice day. You can go. We're right across from Old Line Inn. They've got a a jazz band, they've got food there, so there's a lot of art. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Is it at the Art Institute or at the?
Flo Grizz.
No, we're at the Art Association, right at the brown shingle building.
Okay, right across from.
We're right in, yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty key location.
I think it's, and there's no fee this year. It's usually $100.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so.
Is it all there or is it spread out?
It goes on to Flo Grizz. The first time we did it, we were over by the Creve Gallery. We just threw it up at the last minute. And so then after that, we said, because I'd never been before, and so I went and checked it out and said, we want to be out front. So I, contacted
But
them.
it's like, there's other stuff like Flo Grizz and.
Yeah.
So
it's across, it's on both sides.
okay, it's even on.
Yeah, because
The other
on the other side of, I don't know if it's this year, but the other side of the Old Lyme Inn, they used to have a clothesline art show. And so there'd be the little, fences and there's artists all over. Oh, yeah, on Audubon, because they're just right up the street.
Yes. And by the Florence Museum, there was a food truck at some point. I don't remember.
Well,
2 years ago.
they have, a Friday night, they have the band and everybody brings their picnic on the,
No, that was during the day. The food truck was a long line to get.
Oh, I was working the booth, so they didn't let me travel far. But, but anyway, any thoughts you have on anything? Maybe that'd be a good place to kind of put our herbicide, non-herbicide, get a little thing going, take a consensus of people to go by.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Start some conversations there, maybe.
Yeah, well, I find people come in and there should be 2 or 3 people in the booth because people will start commenting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, it really is. So if I don't go away, I will be there, but we need setup, we've got tables to carry, we've got stuff, so we can set up Friday, but we definitely need a,
Do we bring our own tables and chairs?
I think before we borrowed the tables from the town hall.
Okay.
So we got the tables and the chairs.
Get them somewhere.
But we need the canopy. Bring the easel, and then we set it all up the night before. We can put the stuff over there.
I mean, I should be able to help.
Oh, great.
I'm just on solid waste and recycling as well, so we
So-
probably will be talking
We'll be doing it all. Okay, any other new business or anything we need to, any public comment? I don't know if anyone called in. I don't know if Suzanne's on the phone. Oh, nobody's. So, if nobody has any other additional comments or thought, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
I second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
6:44, all right. Thank you all for your contributions here. I thought, Suzanne, is there a 7 o'clock meeting?
I'm not sure.
I've always thought, because Tim said lock up, but I thought there was at a 7